Hello, and this is just a quickie, just a little history, my own personal history story. It's on my list of things to talk about. Long time, this has been on the back list for a while. But this goes back to when I was 36 years old. Okay, this is a picture of me pretty much at the same time when this event happened. Just to put things in perspectives, I try to give details in these. Now, in this picture, I'm wearing a cowboy hat, but I got to tell you, I did not wear a cowboy hat as a rule. Somebody had given me that hat as a gift, and it was pretty much in the back window of my car. But somebody wanted to take a picture of me with that cowboy hat, and here it is. And this picture went through, had a flood. This picture was submerged in water a few years ago, so it survived, and this is it. This is me during the time of this. I've got a tank commander's jacket on, by the way. That was an Army issue, and a cowboy hat that I didn't wear as a rule. Just for the picture. I wore it into a bar once on a dare, and the women reacted to it. I'll tell you, just wearing a cowboy hat. Wow, so superficial. And at that time, I was going to college full time, finishing up my bachelor's, about ready to start my master's to teach high school English in New York State. I was also serving in the New York Army National Guard as a tank platoon sergeant. Now, I was almost 15 years active duty, and I left the active duty at about 14 and a half years, something like that, and went into the National Guard and went to college full time. And a lot of smoke kind of detracts. Hold on a second. Just a second. Let me see if I can get rid of some of that. Yeah, all right. Maybe that'll help. I'm not cooking over tonight. I'm just building a fire for once. So yeah, I left active duty after 14 years, thereabouts, and decided to go back to college, learn a whole new career, and finish up my 20 years in the military in the Guard. So I was a tank platoon sergeant, M1 tank platoon sergeant, E7, and going to college full time and working. I kept myself really busy. I'm sorry, I didn't script this. So I really wasn't part of the party scene, being in my mid-30s. I didn't really identify with the traditional college students. I went to SUNY, S-U-N-Y, SUNY, State University of New York, in Cortland, which is in upstate New York. And I didn't really identify with the traditional students, so I didn't hang out with any of them, or let alone party. It was a big party scene going on in that school, in that town. Didn't hang out with them. One Friday night, I went out, I think, with a friend of mine, and there was a lot of parties going on, college students. And, there'd be like blocks of houses in the middle of Cortland's a small city. And you just hear the music playing, and there's like a keg party and a bunch of people. You just walk in and join in. So I went into this house, and they had a band, and the band was like playing this like heavy metal, kind of like a garage band. They were loud, they were kind of good. Nobody was dancing to them, but everybody was kind of gathered around these people playing. And there's this guy, a black dude, the only black dude there, I think, or close to it. And nobody was dancing. There's just a bunch of people kind of semicircle gathered around this band that was playing like heavy metal music.
And this black guy was taking this cross, plastic cross, and he'd walk up in front of the band, in front of everybody, and he threw it down on the ground and he'd stomp on it. Then he'd pick it up and he'd walk back to the crowd. And I'm looking at him, wondering what's up with him. He's acting kind of weird, like he's on drugs or something. Something wrong, obviously. And then he'd walk back up in front of the band while they're playing, and all the people around him, kind of semicircle gathered around the band. And he'd take this cross and throw it on the ground and stomp on it. And really just stomp on it, disrespect it. Then he'd pick it up again, and he'd walk back into the crowd, acting threatening to people who were kind of cowering from him a little bit. And he went up a third time, threw it down on the ground, and I walked up. I said, stop, and I picked it up. I said, I forgot what I said to him, but I said it right to his face, and everybody around. I said something about Jesus Christ, and I said that I found it offensive what he was doing. And I put this in my pocket, and I waited to see if this guy was going to take a swing at me or do something crazy. I wasn't going to turn my back on him at this point. And he didn't say a word. He just left the building. I never saw him again. And I have his cross. I rescued it from whatever was going on with him and his antics. And I've had it all these years, and I was going through boxes of things today, trying to get the nerve up to start throwing things out and clearing out of this house. And I found it. And I said, I'm going to tell that story on my channel, how I rescued the cross. And, I looked at the guy, and I don't know, he was in his 20s, I'd say, black dude in his 20s. I don't know if, I didn't really, I figured I didn't care what, if you want to throw down on me, I'm up for it. I wasn't looking for a fight, but I was ready for one. But I didn't act threatening. I just picked it up and I told him stop. I told him stop. I looked at him. I said, I find this offensive. And I think I said something about Jesus Christ, my Lord. And I put this in my pocket. It was mine now. I'm going to give it back to him. The guy left the building. Thank God. I thought I was probably going to get in a brawl or who knows what. You never know. He might have had a gun or a knife. There's crazy people back then, just like today. And so that's it. I kind of filed back into the crowd of people. I think I probably got myself a Dixie cup full of beer, and some dude, one or two guys came and said, that was righteous of you, man. That was a really good move on your part. They congratulated me on stepping up there and doing that. And I all right, thanks. I'm thinking why didn't you? I'm thinking, some things are worth it, man. Some things are worth it. You could weigh it out. It's worth it. I'll take, even if this guy, I don't know, he might not be able to beat me, to tell you the truth, at that point in time. But even if he did, I'll take it for the Lord. I'll take it for the cross. If Jesus got nailed to this cross, I'll take a fight, maybe a butt kicking for it. I don't know what to say. I felt it was worth it, and so I didn't hesitate. I just walked and picked it up. And that's the story, almost. But today I brought this downstairs, and something told me to look at this. Here's another cross that I made. When I was 26 years old, I carved this cross out. It's maple wood. And I thought I was going to build myself a guitar. I had these big ambitions. I bought all these wood chisels. And this is about the only thing I ever made. I'd practice with them and carve this hand. It's my hand. I put my hand right on it. It still fits perfect. All these years later, my hand's the same size. Well, I just traced my hand out. And my son, Tom, he's on the other side. That's his hand when he was that old. I'm going to give this to him. God bless him. And I put a little heart in the center for him because he's a lover. He was always a huggy type kid back then. I put a cross on mine because I love the Lord, But I found something out today. Check this out. I can't hold the mic and do this. What do you know? What do you know? I mean, it fits almost perfect, almost. Needs a little adjustment, maybe a little sandpaper or file, and fit right in there. I made this thing 40 years ago. The wood cross, 40 years ago. And I picked this up about 30 years ago. The plastic cross, the story I just told you, at the rave party, at the house party, where I picked it up off the floor where that guy was misusing it. And look, it fits right in there almost. Coincidence? Coincidence? And check this out. That sets right in there. That's an artifact from God. I believe that little button is an artifact that God touched. I told that story about the message in the grass. I've told it a couple times. I'll tell it again. One of those times when God answered my prayers right then and there, and he used that little medallion. It says, "Enjoy life. This is not a dress rehearsal." That's what that says. Enjoy life. This is not a dress rehearsal. And the long and short of it is, I was really depressed about age 26, 27, because I was lonely. And I was a ball player then, and I was at a baseball game, softball game. I played on the team, and I coached the team, and I formed the team. But everybody had their girlfriends and wives and kids, and I was going through a divorce, and I was all alone and depressed. A divorce I didn't want. A divorce I don't feel I deserved, but that's how it goes. Just so you know, I did everything I could to save that marriage, but it crossed the line. And that's all I'll say about it. So I was depressed and lonely, and I was praying to God to give me a sign, show me that life is worth living. And I saw something buried in the dirt, in the grass, as I was walking with my head down right before the game on the sidelines of the baseball diamond, which was a place in the mountains in Vermont, in New York and Vermont, bordered Whitehall and Pulteney. Beautiful scenic area, country, very rural mountains, New England. And something said, go back and pick that up. And I said, no. I kept walking, go back and pick that up. And I said, no. And a third time, the voice tugging in me said, go back and pick that up. That it was just a white speck. It could have been a cigarette butt or a bottle cap. It was half buried in the dirt, in the grass. Probably been there a couple of years, whatever. So I stopped and I thought, 3 times must be something to it. So I went back, found it, pulled it up. It was in the dirt. It had been there at least a year to look at it. And I read it, and it said, enjoy life. This is not a dress rehearsal. I took that as a direct message from God to me. And that sits right on there, on those hands, right on my hand there. With that cross that I noticed about 3 hours ago when I was upstairs, and I brought this thing downstairs, and something said, I think that'll fit right in there. And lo and behold, look at it. It snaps right in there. Now, I got to be honest here. It would snap right in there, but I did file it down maybe 1/8 of an inch, if that, because I didn't want to break the plastic because it's pretty old. But it just needed very, very, very little adjustments. 1/8 of an inch, if that even, maybe not even 1/8. But this is hard wood. It doesn't give. It's not soft wood. And it fits right in there. Pretty cool, huh? Now, you tell me. I think it's an individual thing. At what point do you defend the cross as a matter of honor? It's like I said in one of my videos here recently. The death of an old enemy. Some things you let go with me, and some things I don't let go. And when I make a decision that I'm not going to let something go, I act upon it. But I'll weigh it out. And I thought doing that for the cross was definitely worth. The guy didn't do anything. He left the building. Now, here's a topic I'm going to address, but I'm not ready to yet. But I definitely want to address this topic because I read something today, like in, I don't know where, Dearborn, Michigan, something like that. Here, I'll play a video. This is where I got the idea from. Here's a video. Very short. It's like a short, like it's only like a minute long.
Today is a day of great, great joy for everyone in the Dearborn community. This is a time that a new place of holiness has been established within the community for people to encounter their God. I'm deeply, deeply honored to be here today, especially to represent Christian brothers and sisters, but also to show that we are all part of one great human family. Today is a
And that's not the first time I've seen this sort of thing. And I think you don't pander to Islam. I'm sorry, what's with these priests, these Catholic officials? And not all agree with them. I don't agree with him at all. Not at all. I think what he's doing is, personally, I think it comes down to a personal opinion. And my personal opinion is what this guy's doing is very wrong, especially as a leader of the church. There's so many reasons, but I'm not going to go into it on this video. But I'm ruminating on it, and I'm doing some studying and praying on the topic of the Catholic Church pandering to Islam. And I just completely, wholeheartedly think they're doing the wrong thing. But opinions will vary. And I'll put something together a little more knowledgeable before I present it, and prayerful. Definitely prayerful. I don't know if that smoke's kind of a detractor from this video. That's about all I had on this. Take care and God bless each of you.